What is going on, Crimson Tide fans? We had another commitment, a flip even, over the weekend. We're going to break that down here on today's show. Also give a little bit of an update on Anthony Tank Jones, another 5-star that Alabama is going after. But first up, 3-star offensive lineman Bear Fretwell actually flipped on Friday from Georgia Tech to Alabama. Another offensive lineman in this class for the Crimson Tide, the third that they have in this 2026 recruiting class. We're going to break it all down here on today's show. Before we get into that, though, we are just 35 subscribers away from hitting 500 new subscribers here in the month of July, which during the offseason, that's a pretty solid number here for a smaller channel here at Chat Sports. So we appreciate you, every single one of you guys who have subscribed right here to the channel. So stay up to date on all things Alabama recruiting. Fall camp is about to start here coming up this week, and then we're going to get into the season. We're going to have watch parties for you guys as well. To help me out, only 35 subs away from hitting 500 here in the month of July. So hit that sub button for me and stay up to date on all things Alabama football related. All right, first things first here, Bear Fretwell, the newest commitment for Alabama, like I said, ended up flipping from Georgia Tech. And this is a massive, massive human being, 6'7", 315 pounds. I know he's listed at like 290 on the websites and stuff, but usually when Hayes Fawcett goes out there and he puts that commitment graphic out, he gives the most updated height and weight there. So 6'7", 315. He is a 3-star, 701 overall, number 61 offensive tackle. But this is a guy that kind of got involved late in the process. He was kind of homeschooled up until his 10th grade year, so didn't really get a lot of exposure early on. He visited for a camp, but did not take an official visit yet. But during that camp, really did hit it off with Coach Cap, and now does actually have an official visit scheduled for October 19th. That's the third Saturday in October. That's going to be that Tennessee game. And, one of my favorite things when we're talking about recruiting is just hearing how much, some of these recruits really do love the University of Alabama. It's what Bear Fretwell said about flipping to Alabama. He said, "I committed on Friday morning after a lot of thinking. Alabama previously had a spot for me without any revenue share. It was just a scholarship, nothing more. I was still considering it regardless because it's Alabama. It changed a little bit on a rev share because they had some open up, but not where it had changed anything to do with my decision." He goes on talking about the rev share and NIL and everything, saying that there's a crazy difference in what you can get paid in the NFL compared to college. Alabama was not offering as much rev share as some of these other schools. It goes to show you how much I really love, or how much love I have for Alabama, and how I know that they will prepare me for the NFL. You love hearing things like that from some of these recruits. And then you also have this really interesting nugget from Bama Online. They were talking to Rusty Mansell. He's the co-owner and publisher of Dogs HQ. That's the Rivals /On3 Georgia site there. And he runs a camp out of Georgia. And he actually said this on Bear Fretwell when Bear Fretwell went to this camp. I believe it was during the summertime. He said the first thing that stood out is how well he tested in the short shuttle and the 40-yard dash. I was a little bit suspicious of how good he ran at his size in that frame the first time, so I made him run it a second time. And he backed it up by, again, running in the 4.8 range on average among the multiple clocks that we had on him. He was also a legit 6'6", 290 pounds. That was at the time. The last time I was able to get a height and weight on him in person, so it is legit. And, you talk about a guy that is that big with that much athleticism, whether or not he's actually running in that 4.8 range or whether it's juiced or not, either way, pretty solid time right there at 6'7", 315 pounds at this point now. So really love the addition here of Bear Fretwell. So originally, it had been reported that Alabama was either going to go after, 3 to 4 offensive linemen. They've got 3 right now in this class, and there's a chance that they could maybe get a 4th, but you never really know how things shake out in recruiting. So I want to hear from you guys here at the pinned comment of today's video. Is Alabama done recruiting at the offensive line position? Are they going to sign only 3 guys is basically the question there. Let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes or N for no at the pinned comment of today's video. All right, so these are the three offensive linemen now in Alabama's 2026 recruiting class. You have Sam Utu, 152 overall, number 9 interior offensive lineman, but he definitely is a guy that could go inside and outside. So interior could play guard, but also could move out there to that tackle spot as well. Chris Booker, he has really shot up the recruiting rankings here this summer. I think when we started talking about him, he was like in the 400-ish overall rank. I think he was like number 35, number 34, something like that, interior offensive lineman. So he's put in a lot of work this summer. He's shot up the recruiting boards, and now you got your new guy, Bear Fretwell. We will see, if he ends up, going up the recruiting rankings, in his senior season as well. But really, really solid offensive line class off of the offensive line class that you got last year in that 2025 class as well. And with the addition, Alabama now number 4 overall in the 247 Sports recruiting rankings. I don't know exactly if they were number 4 or number 5 before, but as of right now, 21 commitments for Alabama. And you look at the quality of commitments that Alabama has. They only have 21 right now. When you compare them to other teams like Georgia and USC and Texas A&M, all of those teams have more commitments than Alabama. You look at some teams behind them as well. Notre Dame has 26 commits. So being ahead of them also, talks to the quality of those commits that Alabama has right now in this 2026 class as well. And still a long way away until National Signing Day, that early signing period. We'll see. Maybe Alabama can flip some other guys and even possibly get Anthony Tank Jones in this class as well. All right, we'll continue on talking about Anthony Tank Jones, the 5-star edge rusher, here in just a second. But first, you guys can get this Alabama Game Day Polo here from Columbia. It is on sale right now, $30 off. It was originally $70. Now it is $40 just by going to chatsports.com/BamaPFG. It's PFG because it's Columbia. That's kind of their, dry fit, material stuff. But it's going to be really, really hot at the early, part of Alabama's schedule. So especially if you're going to that first game down in Florida State, that's definitely going to be a scorcher. And you would be a little bit cooler. Definitely still not. You're going to be very, very sweaty during that game. But if you get this shirt, might be a little bit cooler. It is on sale, like I said, for only $40. Just go to chatsports.com/BamaPFG. I'll put that link down, reply to it at the pinned comment, so it's right there at the top for you guys. I'll also have that link down in the description of today's video as well. All right, we've got another update, the same update for you guys on Anthony Tank Jones here. Steve Wiltfong reported, I believe it was on Thursday when this article dropped, that 5-star edge rusher Anthony Tank Jones' decision is quote-unquote coming soon. Now, like I said at the top of today's show, what does that actually mean? A couple of weeks ago, he said it was going to be late July, early August. We are at that time frame now, so I don't really know if there's really much of an update here, but needless to say, we are getting closer on a commitment decision here from the 5-star edge rusher out of the state of Alabama. Alabama, Texas A&M, Oregon, the top 3 teams there for him. And, this is definitely going to be a kid that, is going to be able to play multiple positions, I think, at Alabama if he is going to commit to Alabama. He can play Wolf. He can play Bandit. It's just, I think, going to end up at the end of the day being, where the need is there for him. So, one of the guys that I used to, produce shows with, Mike Singer, over at the Notre Dame rival site. He always used to say, follow the commitments, and these are the listed follow the visits, and these are the listed visits here from rivals. And you see right there, Alabama's got 10, Texas A&M has 3, and Oregon only has 2. So, obviously it's a whole lot easier to take that 3.5 hour drive down from Mobile than it is to get out to, a Texas A&M or all the way across the country to Oregon. But he's been on campus a lot. He knows this team. He knows this coaching staff. So seems right now that Alabama is in a very good spot for Anthony Tank Jones. And, we'll see here in hopefully the next week or two, if he makes his decision. And hopefully it'll be with the Crimson Tide. So let me know down in the comment section of today's show one more time, guys. When do you think Anthony Tank Jones will make his commitment decision? Is it this week? Is it next week? Does he end up postponing it and, having it during the season at some point? I want to hear from you guys down in the comment section of today's video. All right, some final thoughts here on Alabama's recruiting class in general and where we're at right now. They have absolutely crushed it here during the summertime, sitting right now at the number 4 overall recruiting class. But there is still a long time until signing day. And, Alabama, some guys could flip from them, and they could even add some guys, I think, to this class as well. I think at max you have, 3 to 4 spots left in this class, all depending on, different position groups. You obviously want Anthony Tank Jones. You would love to have Elijah Golden, who ended up moving his commitment date back. Maybe you add one more offensive lineman like a Malachi Lee or somebody who you would have to get to flip. Maybe you also want to add another linebacker like a Sincere Johnson or a Nick Abrams, somebody like that. But as of right now, Alabama's sitting in a really, really good spot in this 2026 recruiting class. And they're even able to go ahead and make some connections in that 2027 class, ending up, making some offers in that 2027 class as well. So early signing day is December 4th through the 6th. So still a long way away. A lot of different things can happen. Guys could flip. You could even flip guys. But as of right now, going through this summer recruiting, process, going into the season, Alabama's sitting in a really, really nice spot in this 2026 recruiting cycle.